Hello, this is the Irish Extra, and let's be honest, lads, I'm scared. Okay, I really am. 12 p.m. tomorrow, Thursday, November 2025. That's when we get the World Cup playoff draw, and we see who Ireland are playing in the next round. I know, Ireland is old news right now, right? The Troy Parrott goal went viral on social media, but now it's all about the Scotland loving. And to be fair, wow, what a win for Scotland. I mean, a must-win match at home against Denmark to get you through, and that finish was insane. Okay, I thought the Ireland game ended dramatically. Oh no, that was some Sopranos-style stuff. Kieran Tierney with a last-minute winning goal, and then Kenny McLean bangs one in from halfway. Like, literally, if you're Scottish, what a night that was. However, I just have to say, this whole World Cup qualifying period is crazy. People want to say that international breaks are boring, okay? They do. They want to say that people look at these, especially if they're English, they look at these weeks as an inconvenience to the Premier League season. How dare you interrupt our Premier League season to give us countries fighting with each other, meaningless international matches, right? Games that would send you to sleep. Games no more exciting than, I don't know, eating cheese sandwiches in the bath. That's the narrative here. The international breaks are dull as dishwater. No, not if you support a smaller country. Lads, maybe for England, it is boring. Because, yeah, you win every game in qualifying all the time. I mean, you've just gone through an entire World Cup qualification period, winning every match without even conceding a goal. You're too good for qualifying. So, yeah, I'd imagine it is pretty boring just sitting down to watch you beat Albania 2-0. It's dull. I mean, it's so boring. The English media have had to try and drum up some bit of interest by making Jude Bellingham out to be the big bad bully. Why? Because he was angry getting pulled off the pitch? So was Rudy, so was Gerrard, so was Lampard, so was Beckham. Every elite English player in the past, many of them have had drops being subbed off in games. It's not exactly revolutionary news. Bellingham isn't some just mean alien from the planet Zod who's sent here to cause absolute mayhem because he's such an arrogant, horrible Britney Spears-esque bully. I'm not sure Britney Spears is a bully, but you get my point. No, everyone seems to have it out for Jude Bellingham, and I don't get why. But I think maybe it's because, yeah, international breaks are probably boring for England. It's only exciting for England matches and actual tournaments where there is stuff on the line, because obviously you're going to qualify for stuff. The only time you ever didn't qualify for a tournament was with Steve McLaren, who, guess what, has just resigned today as the manager of Jamaica after, surprise, surprise, he fails to get their golden generation to the World Cup. I mean, actually, he does still have a World Cup playoff. Maybe someone should have told him that before he literally resigned in tears last night after he was trumped to the World Cup, pipped to the prize by Dick Advocaat, who is about to become the oldest manager in World Cup history. Remember that former Sunderland geezer? I mean, that's such a disrespect to narrow him down to just Sunderland. He's managed about 50 clubs and 29 international teams. Like, he's been around coaching since probably cavemen before they learned to talk. But yeah, he's somehow going to be at the World Cup, which is mental. And it's crazy how Curacao are there. They have a population of 150,000 men. Okay, there'll be women in there too. So hang on a second. So there's probably around 65,000 men in that. Oh, lads, I could get a game for Curacao. Can I get to the World Cup, please? But yeah, no. The World Cup is nuts right now. But no, if you support Scotland, if you support Ireland, if you support Wales, they had a must-win game to get into the World Cup playoffs, and they win 7-1? Are you kidding me? Craig Bellamy is having an absolute whale of a time as Welsh boss. Harry Wilson smacking in a hat-trick as captain. Like, it's incredible right now. It's such drama. And actually, this international break actually makes the Premier League look a cinch bit boring. I mean, there's drama in every match except England. However, what I want to talk about today is Gennaro Gattuso. I know he was always that crazy little angry pig of a man when he was a player. I mean, he's a Champions League winning midfielder at AC Milan, a world champion with Italy, but he was about as talented as a cup of orange juice. Like, literally, he was the battling little bulldog. He was the Gimli of football. Anyway, he's now the Italy manager, and of course, he's a journeyman crazy person who skips through so many clubs. He's there so little. I mean, some of his clubs don't even get acknowledged on his Wikipedia page. Literally, he was at Fiorentina and nobody knows it because he's only there about 2 days. So yeah, he's cut from a crazy cloth. But yeah, so Gennaro Gattuso's come out, and what has he said, lads? What has he said? He's basically said how it's unfair. It's really unfair because you're trying to qualify for the World Cup as a European team is so much harder than the trying to qualify in America or Africa. He's come out and he basically said something like, there used to be 2 African teams at World Cups back in my day. Now there's 9. Right, as if that's a bad thing. He's insinuating that these African teams being let into the World Cup are actually puny little dreadful football teams who offer nothing and are only there to be the group whipping boys. Yeah, okay, Cape Verde and Curacao. Wait, no, Curacao aren't African. No, never mind. No, they're South American, right? Okay, Cape Verde are there. Sure, they are a tiny little country, although their centre back is Irish, who literally plays for Shamrock Rovers. So I'll allow it. Okay, I'm happy to see Ronnie Lopez there. I think that's his name. But yeah, no, the other ones, the other countries that he's complaining about. Let's have a look at Daryl. Let's see what African teams are actually at the World Cup, and then we can complain if they are indeed these proverbial whipping boys who have no right to be there. Okay, Algeria. I remember Algeria getting out of the 2014 World Cup group, the same one as Belgium. So they're not an absolute World Cup minnow. Egypt. Okay, Egypt haven't done that much at World Cups lately, but they do possess Mo Salah and Omar Marmoush. Arguably, they have, if they were to uncover like a quality centre forward, to put him in the middle of those two, Egypt could have one of the best front threes at the whole tournament. So enough whining about that. Ghana. As if Ghana are some tiny World Cup minnow. They were a Luis Suarez handball away from getting to a World Cup semi-final 15 years ago. So enough out of you on that one, Gattuso. Ivory Coast. To be fair, Ivory Coast were absolute underwhelming pancakes when I was growing up. I mean, they were. They had ridiculous talent in their team. Like for years, Drogba, Kalou, Gervinho came later. Yaya Toure, Kolo Toure, and Drogba as the spine of your football team. And they regularly failed to get out of the World Cup group, which I think is a disgrace. And people like to moan about England's golden generation that being wasted. I think the bigger crime was the Ivorian golden generation, which they barely won an African Nations Cup, and they didn't get out of 3 World Cup groups in a row. But they are still a big, colossal giant of a country. And now seeing them at the World Cup is not a disgrace, as Gattuso likes to make. No. What else? Morocco. The same Morocco who got to the World Cup semi-final in Qatar. Literally World Cup semi-finalists. Senegal. Again, I've seen Senegal. I remember them beating France at a World Cup when France were reigning champions. No problem with them being there. South Africa. We all remember when the World Cup was hosted in South Africa. And yeah, we've probably got bad memories because their vuvuzelas were so annoying. It literally felt like you were living in a beehive. But no, I remember them beating France at that tournament too, which was very funny for me because it was months after the Henri handball. And Tunisia, another team who've beaten France at a World Cup very recently. So no, none of these African teams are a disgrace to me, though. No, Gattuso's acting like the World Cup is just littered with small countries who we all know are going to lose 5-0 in every match. It's just not true. It's just not the case. Yes, I would agree it is harder to qualify in Europe. Of course it is. We've just been Portugal and Hungary back to back, and we're still trapped in a playoff, which I'm really, really nervous about. Lads, I didn't even realize the Nations League has actually contributed it's helping. I always thought the Nations League was absolutely useless. I meant about as much as the opinions of a teddy bear, but no, it's actually boosted Northern Ireland and Sweden and a couple of others into the World Cup playoffs. If Ireland lose the World Cup playoff final to Sweden, if my quest to get to a World Cup actually ends at the hands of Graham Potter and Alexander Isak joining forces to smite the Irish guy, I think my head would burst like a Terry's chocolate orange. Like if you put that in a washing machine, it would just be, even the thought of that is so horrible to contemplate. So please, avoid Italy in the playoffs, sure, but also avoid Sweden at all costs. I just can't. I can't comprehend how dreadful that would be to actually go down against the Potter and Isak dream team. And by dream team, I mean absolute nightmare gang is what they should be called. But look, yeah, no. So Gattuso, Yeah, he said more. He said, if we look at South America, where 6 out of 10 teams go directly to the World Cup and the 7th heads into a playoff with the team from Oceania, that does give you regrets and a certain sadness. That is a disappointment. The system needs to change in Europe. Look, I get it. Okay, I get it is tougher to qualify in Europe, but what do you want? Do you want another Euros? That's what we have the Euros for. Yes, teams in Europe are stronger. They are, which is kind of, outside of obviously the big two in South America, Argentina and Brazil, they can always win it. And I think Argentina winning it in Qatar actually restored some hope that, the South American clubs the South American countries weren't getting left behind. Like we've seen absolute giants in Europe get left behind in the Champions League, the likes of AC Milan. It's actually depressing looking at them now. Seriously, it's like looking at any of the people who used to play James Bond. They're now just wrinkled old potatoes. I think Argentina kind of restored a bit of hope because it was becoming very Europe-centric. The finals were always involving European countries at World Cups. Europe is the stronger. It's got the more money. It's got the bigger leagues. It's got more money in homegrown development of grassroots. Of course, we've seen that over the last 25 years at World Cups. When I was a kid, Brazil won it in 2002. Didn't come close to winning it again after that. And it was actually pathetic how 12 years later I was seeing that great country concede 7 in a World Cup semi-final against a European team in Germany. So, yeah, I think what this means is because European football is so strong, it means that the teams that do qualify are going to be good. And we're probably going to leave behind some quality teams too, like Hungary. I think Hungary could absolutely kick it at the World Cup. Look, that is just, I wanted to come on and just have a quick little waffle about the World Cup qualifiers and just say that Gattuso, settle down, okay? Settle down. Having other countries from different parts of the globe in the World Cup is sensational, even if they are there to lose. I still remember New Zealand, tiny little rugby country, New Zealand, full of sheep and, rugby players inhaling creatine on their birthdays. They nearly beat the reigning champions Italy in the 2010 World Cup. I loved it. I love, that is what the World Cup is all about. If you want European-centric teams there on merit, we got the Euros for that. Relax. And Italy are actually good at the Euros lately. Not so good at qualifying for World Cups. If you got anything to blame for this, Gattuso, blame yourself. Because there's absolutely enough quality in this Italian team to get to a World Cup. And I'm praying, really hoping we don't get you in the playoffs. Anyway, that is the video. Tune in tomorrow at 12 p.m. for the World Cup draw. And just hope, please just think of me for the draw. And hope that Ireland get somebody beatable. Please, nobody good. Anyway, that is the end of the video. Enjoy the video. Don't forget to like your ways. I'll talk to you in a while.